Ah, yes, indeed, folks. It's that time again. It's the illusion of choice. Indeed. Right, let's do some illusion of choice, folks. I've got a really good one here, actually. After this, I'll be taking a short break. I'll be doing a little bit of Zerg Please here on cynicalbrit.com. What I will say, I've got a quick birthday shout-out. This one goes to... Lil Rex. He's 24 tomorrow. Congratulations to him. I will not sing for you, because I'm not Octel. Over on VGWProductions.com. Free plug. You see, usually people have to pay for that kind of thing. I'm so generous. So lovely. So wonderful. Not really. I'm terrible and horrible, and I hate every last one of you. Okay. Let's talk. Let's talk and see what this guy has to say. It's an interesting topic. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. This one comes from McStever, and he says this. No, I'm not reading that. Stop with the sycophancy. Ugh, horrible. So here we go. WoW has been around for a long time now. Well, that's stating the obvious. It's come very far from the original vanilla, and I often wonder how WoW is still pulling in more new players every day. Well, answer is it's not. It was announced it stopped growing. So that was a couple of weeks ago. Now, many players who are new to WoW, says McStevie, very often join through a recommendation of a friend with intent on playing together regularly. This way, they have friends to guide them and give them advice on how specific aspects of WoW function. What about these people that decide to play WoW on their own without a friend previously playing? When I see confused new players in general chat, they're often met with abuse or ignored. Maybe it's just because I play Alliance, or perhaps it's my own service. No, really, it's everybody. Everyone provides them with abuse and ignore them, or, you know, those are actually mutually exclusive, but whatever. Why should, you know, this is the thing, right? Why should you be a glorified help desk for other players? You know? People often ask me advice, and I'm actually fine with that, but at the end of the day, I'm not a help desk. And no one should ever expect advice from me, and if they ever do, then they'll get bad advice. The Murloc will come out. Yeah, it's quite. You should never have to be a help desk for people, and of course, some people are going to be abusive. Generally speaking, I don't encourage abuse, honestly. I don't encourage abusing new players. But I am fine with ignoring them and not providing help. It's up to you. Yeah? You should never, ever, ever require a player to help another player. Yeah? Unless it's of some benefit to them. It just shouldn't happen. It should never be expected. Yeah? If you want help, then look at the help files, read the websites, have the tutorials. That's the point. That's the whole point of the whole thing. So yeah, anyway, he goes on. And he says this. Surely that would put players off. In terms of WoW, compared with other MMOs, raiding seems to be the biggest selling point. What are your opinions on all of this? And what do you think WoW has over others that is causing it to keep pulling in more experienced and inexperienced MMO players? Again, it ain't pulling in new players anymore. The thing is, I think the thing that WoW's got going for it, more so than anything, is that it works. Yeah? It just works. It's very accessible, it runs on basically anything, and the servers are up 99.9% of the time. And particularly if you're logging into a newbie area, it'll generally run very well. You know, some people might say, oh, well, it runs really badly in this raid zone. Yeah, well, new players don't care. It's running fine in the newbie zone, and that's all they really care about. They don't need a really hardcore computer. They're not going to experience lag, latency, issues, bugs, because they've had 6 years to get this stuff fixed. You know, if the newbie area stuff wasn't fixed right now, then, really. So, should new players come in and play WoW? Well, it's Babby's first MMO, let's be honest. It just works, and it clicks with people very easily. It's really easy to learn, because the game in general is incredibly simplistic, up until the raid game, and even then it's not all that hard. You do quests, you get nice loot. The thing that attracted people to WoW in the first place is still what attracts people now. The systems are good, and the game is very approachable. It's very easy to get a new trial into the game. It's heavily advertised. That's something people that really ignore this. What's the last MMO you saw advertised on television? WoW is really the only one. I've never seen ads for any other MMO. Never. So they come in and play it because they see it, and they're doing what we did. They're accessing this new demographic that never existed before. That's neat when you think about it. That's pretty cool. But do they stay? Well, no. Mike Morhaime says they don't. In fact, 70% of new players actually leave before level 10, which is partly what caused them to get the improvements in on Cataclysm. They want to improve the initial experience because so many people end up quitting initially. Well, obviously, an awful lot more people stay, but think about that. If only 30% of players stay past that, then you can't really say that WoW's got 12 million players. I suppose you can, but think about how many they could have had. They could have had way more than that if the other 70% actually stuck around, you know? Think about it. You know? You see stuff like WoW has 36 million players if all these guys stuck. It is interesting to look at, if anything. So, why play WoW now? There's a lot of other games around. And there are some games that are starting to get the idea that you've got to innovate because you can't beat WoW at its own game. You can't. You just cannot do it. It's the reason that, say, Project Natal and the Arc motion controller for the PlayStation 3 and the 360, they're not going to bring in the Wii players. You know, they might bring in some, but they're not going to drag everyone away from the Nintendo Wii. The Nintendo Wii's got that market cornered right now, and WoW's got this market cornered. The casual, friendly, easy-to-learn MMO is cornered by WoW. There are plenty of other games that do that kind of thing as well, but they don't do it as well, so why play them? So you've got to look at stuff that's different. It's like aspects of Star Trek Online. Star Trek Online's actually got over 1 million players right now, and it seems to be growing for the time being. I don't know how well that's going to do, but it's not going to dethrone WoW. What it does have, though, it's got a combat system that is very different to World of Warcraft. And it's also got a really good license behind it. And it uses the license relatively well. It's got plenty of flaws and issues, but it's not a bad game overall. So what do you do to bring people away from WoW? Well, you've got to do something like that, and you've got to drive it with a good license, and you've got to make sure that it's friendly to new players. Star Trek Online really isn't, honestly. But I think that license can get away with it because it does attract a particularly nerdy demographic who's willing to deal with that. Why play now, though? Why play WoW now? Is there a good reason? I mean, if I were to recommend someone WoW, what would I say about it? What would any of you say about it? Some guy that's never played MMOs before. Well, you should play this game because... Well, I think you've got to get down to the core principles of it, because you could probably get away with just about any game, but there's probably a higher chance of that player staying with WoW. WoW's solo-friendly. True. WoW leads you by the nose. True, you never feel lost in WoW. WoW's got really good tutorials and help now. Yeah, not bad. They're going to be better, of course, but they're not bad. WoW's got a lot of players. That's the thing. I think you are driven to play an MMO more if it's got a lot of players. You feel like you're part of a community, even if you're not. You know, you're really not. Being part of a server doesn't make you automatically part of a community. There are people there, and you happen to be on the same server as them. GG. Okay, cool. That's fine. Doesn't make you part of some kind of mystical community, however. But are they going to stick with it? Well, I can say to them, well, the reason to play an MMO is because you've got a progressive character. But then they go, oh, hold up, I know nothing about this. So, well, what if when you went back to your game, you were in exactly the same place as you were before, and your character sustained in this one world and constantly got better? That's kind of neat. It's the same kind of thing that is attractive about, you know, anything where you have an avatar. You know, you have a presence and an identity in a world that really doesn't change. It's a sense of permanence, a sense of belonging that brings you into that kind of thing. And of course you can offer to play with them, which will help. I find it hard to recommend WoW to people these days because of I don't see it from the right perspective. I don't play alts, I raid, so I can't really say to people that are new to MMOs, oh, you should play this because the end game, their eyes are going to glaze over. It's not going to make any sense to them. And that's entirely understandable. But I think WoW does have to do something, and that really is what Cataclysm is all about. Because yes, their growth has stopped. Will Cataclysm fix that? I don't know. Maybe. If it makes the newbie areas better, then yeah, I'd imagine you could bring in new people. I don't see why not. There are plenty of gamers available who have not played WoW, and there are more gamers joining the gamer fold all the time. Cataclysm could put WoW in a really good position to capture that demographic. We shall see. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time for shout-outs. Get them to me via the Cynical Brit channel. PM me on IRC at irc.quakenet.org, # or # Cynical Brit. Alternatively, you can tweet me, or you can drop me an email to themurloc@gmail.com. By all means, send them through, folks, absolutely. And there's incidentally, if you want to go read this, I'm not going to cover this. I might cover it on next week's show. There's been a bunch of changes announced for Wintergrasp, so we'll talk about that maybe on next week's show. And also remember that we've got that interview coming up. It's going to be very good indeed. The creator, at least the hopeful creator of a great-looking video called The Raid. I'm going to be talking to him about life and MMOs. We'll see how that one goes. Should be pretty good. He's going to be on live next week on cynicalbrit.com. Right, while we gather the shout-outs, just like to quickly remind you that if you do like the shows and you think that the shows are of sufficient quality to justify it being a service, obviously we pay quite a bit now for our server, and you'll notice that everything's been sorted out. So if you want to donate, you can. We go by the name of tips. It's not really a donation as such. It's about tipping for, say, hey, I really like this show, and I really like your service, so, you know, here's a little bit extra money. You are absolutely not required to do this. It is an honor whenever anyone does it, and is really very much appreciated. It helps to maintain the server, get me better equipment, and get us good stuff. So if you want to do that, you can click on any of the episode links. It will work, and you can donate via PayPal. There is a function now to donate monthly if you so wish, so that's very convenient, and you can sort that out. And there will be a recognition wall coming very soon for all of those who have donated. Yes, indeed. Shout-out time, folks. Let's get them done. Can I get a shout-out to Black Dragon Flight Server US side? That's from Zulkin. What, an entire server? Ooh, I don't know if I can manage that. There you go. A shout-out to my dear grandfather who passed away today. May his soul rest in peace. Well, that's a kind of sad shout-out. But yes, indeed, our hearts go out to you in your time of grief. Morton Otterson. Hopefully you will get through that stronger than ever. Now, a shout out to Guild Abyssus Incursio, who sounds like something from Warhammer 40,000. That's from Mindstorm XLR. Gonna get a shout out to Saracen and Requiem on Azure Mist US. Let's kill the Lich King and Air Fix Your Damn UI. Okay. A shout out to Angelo on Defiance Brotherhood EU for trolling our guild chat. Okay. You want to give a shout out to that? Why would you do that? A shout out to Biola, pronounced Biola. Well, that's kind of obvious. On Frost Whisper EU for restarting WoW about a month ago and managing to get keylogged after 2 weeks. Got my account back in 2 minutes after calling Blizzard and all of my stuff within 24 hours. Yay, Blizz! Yes, Blizzard does something right for a change. That's always good. I'll be honest, you know, they always do this very well. Their GM service is really good. So why not? I think it should be praised for their GM service. It's definitely a good system. It seems to work pretty well most of the time. Hi, Dark Overlord Total Biscuit. Can I get a shout out to Aftermath on Shadowsong EU Horde side, please? Many thanks. That's from Inhibit. Yes, you can. And there indeed you go. Can we get a shout out to the Dark with the Skies Guild? Rotface is down, and we are heading on. Yes, we are. We have a new Holy Paladin joining us tomorrow. And if he's listening to the stream, then send me a Twitter message or something and tell me a time that you'd like to get online to get invited. Otherwise, our raid, as always, 7 p.m. GMT, that's 8 p.m. server time Saturday. So you'll be able to get on there. I'd like to also give a shout-out to the guys over at VTWProductions.com. It's Hotel, Hordak, Duck Dead, Natural 20, and the Casually Hardcore crew. That's VTWProductions.com. Go check them out. Daster's giving a shout-out to our idiot officers who decided to do normal 25-man on alts. And that's more important than doing progress in heroic 25-man on mains. Bloody idiot. Ugh. Soki gets a shout-out because he doesn't know how to get a shout-out. Oh, how sweet. There you go. He said so in the IRC channel. Right, I think we're pretty much done, folks. I'm going to take a break. Going to play a couple of tracks here. Oh, one last one here. Shout out to Murder of Crows on Bronzebeard EU Horde for doing some awesome progress on ICC. That's from Arto Maselli. I'm going to play a couple of tracks. I'm going to be right back with Zerg, please. My first ever playthrough of StarCraft 2 in the beta. Good stuff. Thank you ever so much, as always, for listening to the show. Check out the rest of our shows on cynicalbit.com. We'd really appreciate it if you left some reviews on iTunes. Go rate and review us using iTunes if you listen that way. If you don't, the feeds now work, so if you want an easy way of getting our shows on a week-to-week basis, just subscribe to the iTunes feeds. Links are available on cynicalbit.com. It's all sorted out, folks. It's all good. Thank you ever so much for listening. As always, it's an honor to do a show for you guys, and you are a fantastic audience. I will be back same time next week with yet another Blue Please. Good night.